Hello and welcome to another edition of Hughes of the World. Today we're going to be traveling to Chile in South America. Or Chile, I should say Chile. It looks like child. That's the thing, it looks like the word child. It's one of those countries like Suriname where it's not pronounced the way you think. Or Kiribati, which is actually spelt Kiribati, but they pronounce the T-I as an S in Kiribati. Makes the spelling of Christmas Island very unique. So, the Christmas Island in Kiribati, obviously there's a Christmas Island off Australia as well, different Christmas islands. And there is an Easter Island, which we will come to in a moment. So, a big warm welcome to everyone watching. I don't know how many people are watching this on Twitter or Facebook, but this is my new YouTube channel. There's no other videos on this apart from last week's edition with Chad. I need 1,000 subscribers before I can turn on the monetary settings for this channel. So if you do want to throw some money my way, please head over to buymeacoffee.com. You can buy me a beer, unbuy me a coffee. I know the name's a bit misleading. I think they should make another site called Buy Me a Beer, which is much more straightforward. But if you would, if you're up for that, I'm also up for a coffee as well, anything really. But depending on my performance today, if I come across like I know anything about Chile. I have been there a couple of times. I should know more than I do, but it's been a very, very strange week here in the UK. There's been lots of stuff going on, and I envy countries that are boring at the moment. I want our country to be boring again, but I'm getting off the topic. So, big hello to Pineapple Boy. Did Chile steal the flag from Texas or the other way around? Oh, I was going to come to this when I was going to talk about the flag. This is the original. Yes, Texas stole it. This is from 1817, and the Texas flag, I think, was first flown in 1839. So, yes, in answer to Pineapple Boy's question, Chile, they had their flag stolen by Texas. The Texas flag is exactly like this, except the blue square at the top is a rectangle. It goes all the way down the side like a margin, and then the star is in the middle of that margin. Okay, so halfway down from the top to the bottom. Fun facts, hey? But yeah, they do look very, very similar indeed. And there have been a few comedy moments where some proud American patriot has been flying what they thought was the flag of Texas, and it was actually the flag of Chile. Chubai is saying, I sailed to Chile free on a little sailboat. Okay, it was from Ushuaia. I don't get it. I don't get it. On a little sailboat. I sailed to Chile free on a little... Is that a song? Is that a monkey in the boat? No. Number 3 says, hi everyone. Hi Richard, how you doing, mate? Pineapple Boy says, Pinochet sounds like a wine. God. We're going there already. So last week, we were talking about Chad, and we were talking about one of the leaders there. His name is Habre, and he was like the Pinochet of Chad. Well, today we're going to be talking about the Pinochet of Chile, who was actually Augusto Pinochet. Hello, everyone. And Graham says, Mad Monk 33. Hello. So let's dive in here. Chile, population 19.12 million. Capital Santiago. The flag, as I said, it's not a rip-off of the Texas flag. The star is the guiding star, and the blue is the sea, and the white is the snow-capped mountains, and the red, guess what the red is? It's the blood of the people who fought for the country again, as it always is. It's always that's what red is on flags. Imagine having to explain this to aliens. Imagine going like, all right, so here are all the flags of the world, right? It's all the red bits. Yeah, that's to signify our vital juices that we expelled. Other people's, obviously not ours, but that were expelled for the purposes of this thing being a thing. Where this border that we're just drawn arbitrarily down this mountain range or across this lake or down this river or just a straight line across the fucking desert. Who cares? Yes, indeed. Oh, shouldn't swear. Squire, I'm bored. Is anyone screaming tonight? What? Graham, oh crap. I forgot. Squire, start up the computer. Haha. I thought, Duke, at the beginning there, I thought you were bored of what I was saying. I was like, oh my God, I need to make these shows more exciting. I'm going to just check while you're here, while I've got you. What is going on there? No, sorry. Right. So see this hard drive that I just unplugged from my computer. See this hard drive here? This is supposed to have all of my old footage on from my travels around the world. And I've just discovered there's a couple of tapes missing off it. And you'll never guess which one. So I'm going to have to go dig out the original tapes. They were, I think this was before even mini DV. I think this is a digital 8 or high 8 tape of when I was in Chile. I will dig that out for you, and I will do a special upload of my footage from Chile. It's really annoying. I can't believe it, because I went to Valparaiso and I also went to Santiago for a few days back in 2002. 20 years ago, people! 20 years ago! I was just reckoning with the fact that I actually started the Odyssey expedition 13 years ago. 13 years ago. It feels like yesterday. Although a lot has happened, I suppose. Anyway, so enough of my troubles finding my footage of my old travels around the world. In my defense, I have like little boxes, I've got boxes like this big, plastic boxes, and they contain tapes. And I've got about 7 of them. So, yeah. Good evening, all, says Reagan Elite. Hello, Reagan Elite. How you doing? Or Reagan Elite, I should say, shouldn't I? Anyway, so where was I? I was talking about the flag, blood of the nation. Etymology. This is quite interesting because there's a lot of arguments about where the name Chile or Chile comes from. My favorite claim, Native American word, meaning either the ends of the earth, or where the land ends, and comes from a Mapuche word, Chile. That's it. That's it. It's like where the world ends. I'm like, that's a brilliant name for Chile. That is, I like that. I'm taking that one. There's others. It could be a leader or a certain place. I'm not having them because they're not as cool. Not as cool. That is the coolest name for a country. What have you called this country for which there is no landmass to the west for thousands of miles? Let's call it the end of the earth. Whoa. That'll give the flat earthers a treat, won't it? Woo, give them a bit of a cheap thrill. Indeed. Anyway, so we've got Nicholas here who's smiling. Hello, Nicholas. How you doing? Anyway, so the language spoken in Chile is Chilean. No, it's Spanish. But they have a peculiar way of talking Spanish. They've got a lot of slang. They've got a lot of their own words for stuff. And also they do what I've seen, what happens a lot in Panama and in Costa Rica is in that they drop the end of they drop the last letter of the word. So if a word ends in an S, they'll just drop the S. Yeah. So I find like dias meaning a day. It was like dia in Panama, and Chile is quite similar. Now I'm not a native Spanish speaker by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not even a accomplished Spanish speaker. I can barely speak English. I'm from Liverpool, for God's sake. But I believe the Chilean accent's a little bit different, and to the rest of the accents around the Latin America. But good news for Chile. It's one of the countries, I think it is still, it's getting caught up by Costa Rica, but it's one of the countries in Latin America with the highest GDP per capita, $13,200 a year, which is, I mean, it's not amazing, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And there's lots of tech startups there, sort of like a little bit of a Chilean kind of Silicon Valley going on, except it's not a valley. It's just like an angle, because it's like this. You got the mountains, and then they go down to the sea, and that's it. It doesn't go back up again to create a valley. Do you see what I mean? So it'll be like the Silicon Slant. Can I call it the Silicon Slant? But famously, Chile is a place like Lebanon, don't forget Lebanon, where you can ski in the morning, drive for 3 hours, and then surf in the afternoon. Or, if you're feeling fruity, surf in the morning and then go up a mountain and then ski in the afternoon. You can do that. It's 3 hours. I mean, come on, give and take. but it is an insane country in terms of its geography because it's just like so long. It's insanely, crazily, absolutely ludicrously long and very, very thin. It's only 200 kilometers on average in thickness. But it's thousands of kilometers high. Bizarre place. And nowhere in the world is more than 4 Chile lengths, a long way, away from Chile. That's how long it is. We have a millennium president now, said Nicholas. Yes, you do. New president elected only last month, I think. 35-year-old new president of Chile. Gabriel Boric, his name is, and he was a student protest leader in the protests that Chile had in 2019 and into 2020. So there you go. Change can happen, boys and girls. I was going to end on that note because I was going to go, and the good news is, after, obviously we're going to have to talk about Pinochet and the shit years and stuff, but generally speaking, right, before I start talking about the geography and all the things, I just want to say, like I say, I've been to Chile a couple of times and I had an absolutely brilliant time. And more than that, my dad went to Chile back in the 90s on a business trip, which was unusual. He owned a garage in Liverpool. It wasn't really, I think it was one of those where the government went, we need entrepreneurs to go to other countries. And it's like, all right, I'll go. It's like, okay, we'll pay off your fare. It's like, yeah. So he went over. I don't know if it was a freebie or if it was like 50-50 or whatever, but he had a fantastic time. Honestly, he went on about it quite a lot because he just enjoyed it so much. He just absolutely thought it was the bee's knees. And he spent, I think it was a week or 2 weeks in Santiago, the capital. It's a fantastic city. And it's got that thing that some cities have. I'm thinking of Tehran in Iran. It's quite unusual. And also Beirut, I guess, to some extent. You can see the mountains. You can see the mountains from the capital city. Oh, Kathmandu, obviously, in Nepal. But yeah, you've got this sort of cityscape in front of you. There's a park you can go to in Santiago. And if you go in the park, you can see the city and then you see the mountains behind it. And it looks like it's a matte painting, like something from a movie that someone's just like painted on the back. It's just, wow. It's quite incredible. It's quite incredible. Anyway, some fun facts about Chile. First of all, it's the home to the world's biggest swimming pool. No, it's not. It was, but then they made a bigger one in Egypt a few years ago. So fact fans, update your websites. Just saying, but they have got this massive swimming pool, which is in Algarrobo City on the Pacific coast, and it's a salt water pool. So there was fresh water. Oh, yeah, it'd be a waste of fresh water, wouldn't it? It is the ninth. Chile is the ninth, not the swimming pool, is the ninth largest producer of wine in the world, and they've been producing wine for hundreds of years. There are penguins in Chile. Well, part of Chile is technically, they claim part of Antarctica, and they've actually got an island off Antarctica that's populated. Only about 100 people live there, but it is populated. And so I think that's the most southerly habitation on Earth. Like, continual habitation, not signed space and stuff. Now, look, there was a meeting in the 50s. I think it was the 50s, might be in the 60s. I don't know. And all the countries of the world decided that Antarctica was going to be international and no one was allowed to lay a territorial claim to Antarctica. And even though it's kind of split up into countries like pieces of pie on a Trivial Pursuit wheel, it's technically they're not allowed to live there. They're not allowed to like start an oil drilling business and all that kind of stuff because it's international land. But Chile has this section of the Antarctic, and it's also got Easter Island as well, which is a fascinating place, and we'll talk about that more in a moment. So, the oldest mummy in the world is from where? I know you're thinking Egypt, but you're wrong. It's from Chile. The oldest, the oldest known deliberate mummy instead of an accidental mummy, is a child found in the Camarones prawn valley in Chile, and it dates from 5050 BC. Stick that in your pipe, King Tutankhamun. I don't know. Also, Chile has the most volcanoes in the world. It might be part of, there might be like someone that's got a few more, but they've got at least 2,000 volcanoes in Chile, and at least 500 of them are active because it's in the Ring of Fire. It is, and it's a huge part of the Ring of Fire is Chile. As you can imagine, the geography, if I'm going to show you on the map in a moment, but it is just the spine of the Andes, the southern Andes coming down, and and then it just goes into the water. So you got this plate coming up from the Pacific, hitting onto the land plate of South America and pushing those mountains up and away. Valparaiso, which I mentioned before, which is near Santiago, the capital. It's a beautiful town. It's got these funiculars or something. I forgot what they're called. They're like these little lifts that go up, but they kind of go up diagonally up the mountain. Oh, it's brilliant. And all the houses are like painted different colors, and it's just so pretty. Anyway, I was there in 2002. A year later, on my suggestion, not really, it was made a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And if you do go to Chile, I really, really recommend Valparaiso and Santiago and the Atacama Desert and, oh God, everywhere. Patagonia. Well, that's new. Tierra del Fuego. Let's not say Patagonia. Let's say Tierra del Fuego, which is an island off the very bottom tip of South America that is co-owned, lying down the middle between Chile and Argentina. It's next door neighbor, or one of them. Anyway, so yes, Easter Island, as I said, is part of Chile, but it's actually like, I don't know, 3,000 kilometers away. It takes 5.5 hours to get there on a plane. God. It takes 5.5 hours to get there on a plane, which I think is about as long as it takes to get from England to the Falkland Islands. Hashtag just saying. No, it takes a lot longer than that. Anyway, moving on. Chile has its own version of tea time, which they called once, as in the number 11. And this is not this like 11s, I guess, but they have it in the afternoon. And it's like, I don't know, it's like jam, meat, pate, cake, coffee, tea. It's like high tea. They have high tea. They call it once. Anyway, it's like a third meal that they have. Well, no, fourth, I guess. Fourth meal. It can sometimes be dinner, but like breakfast, desayuno, and then lunch, kind of. And then, they have this meal in the afternoon between, actually, no, it's 5 to 9. Sorry. Got that. Afternoon, late afternoon, evening meal, which is called once. Well, there you go. Anyway, the national liquor is called pisco, and it's a type of brandy. The national dance is called the Quacker Dance. I'm not making that up. It is called the Quacker Dance, and it is based on the mating rituals of chickens. I honestly, I wish I don't wish I was making it up because it's too fabulous to make up. It is based on the courting ritual of a rooster who wants to root a hen, and they do it with handkerchiefs, a bit like Morris dancing in England. Morris dancing with the handkerchiefs. Yeah, there's a handkerchief thing going on in the Quacker. So if you go to Chile, you might be lucky, and you might see, walk around the corner, and there on the street there might be a young man doing the Quacker dance to impress a young lady, which I think is really cool. That's awesome. Yeah. Duke Vengeance is saying, yes, a fourth dinner. Squire, write that down. No ducks then. No, it's spelled Cueca. Quacker. So yeah, it's not spelled like quacker like a duck. You cannot drive down Chile without going through Argentina or on a boat. That is very true, Trubai, because the Pan American Highway, just kind of peters out in southern Chile. And we'll have a look at that on the map, and you do have to take a route either through the mountains or into Argentina, or you have to take a boat around to get to Tierra del Fuego, which means the land of fire, which is insane because it's cold. It's really cold. It's really, really cold. Chile. But yeah, it's the reason why it's called the land of fire, I think, was when the first boats, I think it was Magellan's boat, or boats, he had more than one. When Magellan, the Portuguese explorer, he passed through the Straits of Magellan. Lucky coincidence there between South America and Antarctica. And I think they saw like fire on the island of the Tierra del Fuego. I don't know. But little side note, before I took over Ginger Island in Panama, the guy who owned it before me, he called it Usher's Island because his name was Ian Usher. But the locals called it Isla del Fuego, the island of fire, because they cleared all the island before they built the house and everything. And they had lots of fires there. So they called it the Island of Fire, which is a cool name. But then again, could have called it Hughes Island because the etymology of the name Hughes comes from the word for fire. So there you go. It's all linked. I don't know, somehow. Reagan says, go from hot to cold in just a few hours. Indeed. Pineapple Boy, not in the north. Number 3 says, I met an amateur geologist once who had studied a Peck Glacier for most of his adult life. He was almost in tears when I met him because the glacier was melting at an alarming rate. That doesn't surprise me in any way, shape or form. The damage we're doing to the planet is insane and looking increasingly irreparable. Like, we are not dialing this back. We're supposed to be reducing the amount of CO2 we're putting in the atmosphere, and we're actually increasing it instead. It's not a good look. Anyway, I think that was Chile. This is number 3. Good evening, all. Fin del Mundo, the end of the earth. Fin del Mundo. Chile is Aji in Chile before anyone makes the connection. Great national anthem. Always love seeing Chile in the World Cup just because I'm excited they kept on singing it. Brilliant. But Boric, wait, just hold on a second, mister. You cannot read that one. I up, says Charlie. Hi, Charlie, mate. Good to see you. Can everyone subscribe, by the way? I need more subscribers. I need 1,000 subscribers because then I can get the bag and bowl out and ask for money. I can't do that until I've got 1,000 subscribers on this new channel. So, yes, please do. Did Egypt build the biggest swimming pool in revenge for Chile having the oldest mummy? I didn't think of that link, John, but now you've written it. God, I should have said that. And in revenge for having the oldest mummy. The Egyptians. 70% of Chilean territory is in the mountains. Well, yeah, it is. It is indeed. The mighty Andes, which I first caught my glimpse of the Andes flying over it from New Zealand to Buenos Aires, and it was incredible. And then I got a bus from Buenos Aires across Argentina. I think I went to Cordoba and then over to, was it Cordoba or Mendoza? Or maybe Mendoza. And then went over to Santiago, and the bus trip through the mountains was just insanely beautiful. Like, it's one of those where you don't need a book. You don't need your Game Boy. Just look out the window. Just seriously, just look out the window. It's like they're just sliding these beautiful screensavers. It was fantastic. Yeah, very, very, very tall mountains. The second tallest mountain range in the world after the Himalayas. Already 2% towards the 1,000 subscriber target. Keep it up. Thank you, Pineapple Boy, and thank you for keeping tabs on that. The next fun fact is Chile is the home to the tallest skyscraper in Latin America. Might have been superseded by one in Panama City. I didn't actually check that until I just thought about that then. But it's just there in the picture behind me. This is Santiago behind me in the backdrop. And yeah, many consider Chile to be the world capital of astronomy. The reason for that is because the Atacama Desert is a perfect place to observe the stars. It is fairly close to the equator, which means you get to see a lot more stars than you do at the very northern or southern latitudes, in which the same stars just circle around you. Also, it doesn't rain. It's one of the driest places on Earth. Now, according to QI, there's a place in Antarctica that's actually drier than the Atacama Desert, where it hasn't rained for thousands of years. And it does occasionally rain in the Atacama Desert. And when it does, like, it's insane. Like the whole of maybe not the whole of it, but like so much of the desert floor just comes into bloom. Like just all these flowers that were just put there by the angels. I don't know. It just looks amazing. So if you ever type in flowers Atacama into Google, you'll get some of these amazing images coming up that look like they're out of a D12 video or something. There you go. Put a post of your politics channel when you go live in future, Graham. God, sorry, regularly. I was a bit rushed getting all this together. Sorry. I'm in trouble now. I'm going to take my ball and go home. Oh, I can't. Anyway, that's a really old, lonely planet. That's 20 years old, that. Which means that it's 20 years out of date. So it wasn't much use for finding out what's happened in the last 20 years. Oh well, never mind. Anyway, so let's march on. Let's talk about the geography. I will, for your viewing pleasure, I will now bring up the map of the wonderful world of the world, the literal whole world. There it is. Hello, world. There you go. I have to transfer the image onto your screen as well, and then everyone's happy. Okay, so there is the world. As we know it, there's Britain there. It just says Ireland. That's the important bit. That's Africa. That's Africa there. That's Asia. Down there is Australia. Down there is the bottom of the earth is Antarctica. And if I swing it round, you've got North America up here. You've got South America down here, and you'll see that a good half of South America from this bit here to down here is taken up by the country of Chile. It's really hard to get the whole thing on the map at the same time. There you go. So there's Chile there. There's Santiago, the capital, in the middle. Now, Chile is split into 15 administrative divisions, which are numbered by Roman numerals, 1, 2, 3, 4, except for Santiago, which has its own Roman numeral, which is MS, I think, or SM, and that's separate. Like Washington DC is kind of separate, and also there were two new what do you call them, regions, areas that were created in the mid 10s, the 2010s, and they're not marked on this map, which is kind of annoying me. But yeah, they added the extra numbers of 14 and 15 for them. And they've missed out number 13, which I assume is Santiago. So anyway, there's the capital there. And yes, you will see, if I zoom out, that it borders 3 countries. It borders Peru in the north, this border here. It borders Bolivia over here. And it borders Argentina down here. Now, after the War of the Pacific, for Chile versus Bolivia versus Peru, Bolivia lost its access to the water. So Bolivia used to spread out this way. It used to look over to the water. This is all the Atacama Desert up here. It's really dry and arid. And yes, Bolivia lost its access to the sea, which is one of the reasons why Bolivia doesn't have much money these days, which is a bit rum, but never mind. The actual length of Chile is 2,700 miles or 4,300 kilometers. You'll see if I do a little measure distance here. Should we do a measure distance? And then we measure it all the way down here. Oh, shit. That didn't work. The measure distance thing kind of came up on the screen and kind of covered what I was trying to do. Let's measure the distance on Google. This will be fun. Doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doo. You can't see that, but it says that it's 2,693 miles. But yeah. Anyway, so that's the length, and yeah, it's on average it's about 177 kilometers across, or 110 miles. Indeed. Oh, yeah, it's RM. Sorry, not SM. The region of Santiago is called RM, and it replaces the number 13. Robinson Crusoe Island is off the coast of Chile. Oh my God! Stop pressing things that you. What? Why are these? Why is this not working? This is just for fact fans. Let's just find it. Robinson Crusoe Island. There you go. That's Robinson Crusoe Island there, and that is where the Scottish traveller Alexander Selkirk lived for decades. I think he lived there for about 20 years or something, which inspired not only the book Robinson Crusoe, but also by Daniel Defoe? No, something like that. But also the movie Castaway with Tom Hanks. Anyway, and down here, I think that's going to be Easter Island, isn't it? Oh no, there you go. Isla Alexander Selkirk. Oh right, okay. So I don't know if that's named after him or that's the island that he was on, but Google took us to the wrong island there. It's kind of hard trying to find these spots in the ocean. Let's see if we can find Easter Island. It is so far away, it's ridiculous. There it is, I think. Is that it? Is that going to be it? Yeah, that's it. There you go. Rapa Nui, as it's known. And that's the capital there, Hangaroa. That's the capital. It's quite a symmetrical island, isn't it? Like if you drew a line down there, you kind of got a bit of a line of symmetry going on there. It looks like a little space invader. Looks like a spaceship or something, doesn't it? A UFO. It looks like a UFO. That's probably why the people who think that aliens built things think that it was built. Anyway, it's just so far away from Chile. It's really not funny. Can we just clear this, please? Can we clear this? Can we just get rid of this? How do we get rid of this thing? Oh God, I feel like someone's grand when I'm trying to do this. Right. Anyway, back onto Chile. So yes, we'll move down. So we'll move up first. Okay. So as I said, this is the Atacama Desert up here. Very, very dry place. Home to lots of nitrates, and there was a big nitrate boom, and now it's a good place to go stargazing. Also, it's a good place to get lithium for our batteries for our rechargeable cars. Down here is, I said, the Tierra del Fuego. There it is, the Isla Grande. Del Tierra del Fuego. There. The big island of Tierra del Fuego. And then down here is the Antarctic territory that is claimed by Chile. So Chile claims that it's the only country that spreads over 3 continents, which probably isn't true because I think the French kind of claim that as well. I really wish I could get rid of this stupid little marker here. How do I get rid of this marker? Let's do that and press that. Yes. Oh no, it's telling me about COVID. Shut up. Anyway, it's a view of the world. It's views of the world with great views. Views of the world. So anyway, yes. Chile's got lots of copper as well, by the way. And yeah, lots of seafood. As you can imagine, having this crazy border. I'm sorry that I keep pressing on things. I'm trying to move the map with my finger, and it's just being a bit of a bastard today. I don't know why. But yeah, that is Chile. Well worth checking out. So I just really want to. Yeah, it was Cordoba. Oh, it was Mendoza as well. Yeah, I took a bus from Buenos Aires over here. Yeah, I went there, Rosario, and then I went to Cordoba, and then I went to Mendoza here, and then I took the bus through the mountains to Santiago. In fact, let's do a topographical map. Let's do one of them maps. Yeah, let's do that. Look at that, Chile. So you can see up here. Wow, look at that. Look at that for a salt plain. Chile's also home to one of the, I think, the highest lake in the world. I'm not sure where it is, but it's around here somewhere. Oh, look, that's Lake Titicaca there. There you go. It's Bolivia, La Paz, Lake Titicaca, which split down the middle between Peru over here and Bolivia over here. And this is part of Bolivia, isn't it? That's the Uyuni salt flats there. That's where we're hoping to get lots of lithium from, but it's a bit difficult to get it all out, and you need a lot of water and the sort of nightmares. But you can actually see on the map there just how dry it is. Look at that. That is just insane, isn't it? This is a mad desert. That's crazy desert. But actually, you can see how that whole area is quite deserty. You got the mountains here. You can see the crumple zones, the mountains, and this is all really high up, and you got this jungle, absolute dense jungle on this side, and then this kind of like arid land over on this side. So as we go down the map, you'll see the Atacama Desert kind of dies away, and then the mid section of the country is very green. It's very green indeed, and yeah, you can grow a lot of stuff in the middle bit, and then down here, once you get to Tierra del Fuego, it all gets a bit cold. All right then. Bye world. Bye. Bye. Okay, so that's what Chile looks like. Oh my God, it's 45 minutes past. I've just wasted 35 minutes. I'll tell you about the history. Did I mention the seafood? It's bloody excellent. as you should imagine, with a massive coast like that. Chile is dry in the north and humid in the south. Argentina is the opposite. Oh yeah, good point. What's that? That must be because of convection and currents and wind patterns and stuff. What's the ditch in the ocean? I didn't see what ditch you were looking at, but it's probably it's not the Marianas Trench because that's over the other side of the Pacific. It's over by Palau and Guam. It's over by Guam. Okay, so moving on. So Chile has had a bit of a rough ride when it comes to politics. It's had more coups than anywhere else in the world, I think, about 40 of them. Plus, they've had wars with all their neighbours, and also the Chileans helped the British in the Falklands War. That was just to piss off the Argentinians, maybe? I don't know, but, when you've got a massive land border with another country, you don't really just be nice. Just be nice, everyone. Why can't everyone be nice? Anyway, 12,500 BC. This is the history of Chile. 12,500 BC. There was a footprint left in the ground outside modern Puerto Montt. And it's believed to be the oldest inhabited site in South America. And it shows evidence of human habitation in Chile long before the supposed migration from the Bering Land Bridge. So there's a good chance that people might have come across in boats, maybe, somehow. I don't know. In 15, and then moving ahead, just, 13,000 years, 13 millennium passed. And then in 1520, on a voyage where his fleet has already faced mutiny and shipwrecked, Ferdinand Magellan is the first European to set his sights on the Chilean territory on November the 1st, 1520, while sailing along the strait that is now named after him. And I should have said when we were looking at the map there, the south of Chile, it's got like glaciers and fjords. Well, I don't know the technically fjords, but it's kind of like just this amazing, rugged, just unspoilt wilderness down there, which I've only seen pictures of it. I haven't been there personally myself, disclaimer, but it just looks absolutely incredible down there. 1535, Diego de Almagro attempts to conquer Chile with 500 men and 100 slaves. And 10,000 Yanaconda Indian porters. Many freeze to death for crossing the harsh terrain. And they found no riches. And so Almagro abandoned his claim. And then 10 years later, after crossing the Atacama Desert, the blistering extremes of the Atacama Desert, Pedro de Valdivia even. God, Jesus Christ, it's been a long day. Pedro de Valdivia and a group of 150 Spaniards started a colony on the banks of the Rio Mapuche. And I've got to say, I have been to the Atacama Desert. I crossed over the border from Bolivia into Peru, and I had altitude sickness, and I was so thirsty, and I just felt I felt absolutely rotten. It was really weird because as we came down the mountain very slowly, winding roads, we got to a place called Arica in the very north of Chile, and my headache went away. It was weird. It was just like, wow, I'm not supposed to be up this high. Then get down the mountain and I'm okay. Wait, I went to the most southerly pub in the world, Punta Williams, is Navarino, Chile. I've also been to the most northern pub in Svalbard. Call yourself an explorer? Well, no trouble. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I don't call myself an explorer. I've not gone anywhere that no one else has, I haven't gone anywhere that someone else hasn't already gone to. Crappiest explorer ever. I call myself an adventurer because I like going on adventures, big and small. Over here on the map, you can see the emergency exit in case the earth bursts into flames. Indeed. Anyway, so where were we? Oh, we were talking about Valdivia. Started a Spanish colony in 1540, and a year later, Santiago, the capital now, was officially founded on September the 11th, which is an unfortunate date in Chilean history, which I'll come to later. Despite fierce resistance by the indigenous people, who numbered about 500,000 at the time, the Araucanian people, there was about 500,000 of them, and the presence of these dirty foreigners coming from other countries and taking odd jobs, etc., meant that loads of indigenous Araucanians died of disease because they had no natural immunity to these diseases, which is one of the reasons why the indigenous communities of many places in the Americas are either been decimated or non-existent. In the case of the Caribs, you never meet a Carib in the Caribbean, or they were they interbred with the Spanish settlers or the Portuguese settlers or the British slave drivers, and so there was a mix of people, and that gave the indigenous bloodlines a little bit of a little bit of resistance to things like smallpox, which the Europeans brought over, which wasn't really wanted. There were a lot of signs about warning about mines on the border when I was there. I did throw a few stones over the fence into the minefield, but nothing happened. I'll tell you a story. Many, many moons ago, I was in the country of Laos, and I'd had a couple of drinks with a lovely lady from Sweden, and we decided to go for a walk in the dark, because it was nice. And we were walking through a field, and then it sort of hit us both at the same time. We looked at each other and went, landmines. And I went, oh, God, landmines. And we were like absolutely freaking out because Laos, there's like millions of landmines that were left after the Vietnam War by the Americans. And we had a terrifying 15 minutes trying to pick our way through. I went first, and then she tried to stand where I stood as we walked across this field. It was probably fine. It was probably a field that was being used by a farmer or whatever, but we weren't taking any chances. But yeah, don't stray off the beaten track if you're in a place that has got landmines. So anyway, wine comes to Chile in 1548. What a year. 1548. Wine came to Chile, courtesy of the missionaries and conquistadors, who probably best that they stayed at home. But the Jesuit priests that cultivated the early vineyards, and today Chile has got over 70 different wineries and obviously international distribution. But did I say earlier, it was like the 9th biggest wine distributor in the world, the wine seller in the world. In 1553, Conquistador Valdivia, Jesus Christ, just get it out then. Valdivia is captured in the Battle of Tucapel, and when 600 Mapuche warriors attacked Spanish forts in the south, Valdivia was bound to a tree and beheaded. That's what you get for invading other people's countries, you naughty man. Anyway, so we'll just jump ahead now for a couple hundred years. So in 1818, with independence movement sweeping across the continent, Argentine Jose de San Martin liberates Santiago from the Spanish and installs the first president. Well, he was called the Supreme Director. And I love this guy. I absolutely love this guy because it's one of these great pub quiz questions. What was the name of the first leader or the first president or the first Supreme Director of the Chilean Republic? What was it? Valdivia? Was it Jose de San Martin? Or was it Bernie O'Higgins? Yeah, it was Bernie O'Higgins, the son of an Irish immigrant and the illegitimate son of an Irish immigrant. Oh my God. And he became the leader of the Chilean Republic. And if you go to Santiago, there's one of the main roads in Santiago is named after O'Higgins. And the thing is that in Spanish, H is a bit of a weird letter. You don't really pronounce it. Like you say hola, not hola. You don't pronounce the H. If you need a H in a letter, you put a J. So Jose is spelled Jose. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So O'Higgins. It's a bit of a difficult one for the native population of Chile to say. But there you go. First president, some Irish bloke. I mean, I love that. I love that. They were the days when you had sort of almost true equality. No, you didn't actually. Many of the indigenous people were just kept as slaves. Okay, I'll take that back. I take that back. Or you two, get off more land, indeed. Anyway, so in 1834, the HMS Beagle sailed up the coast of Chile. And actually, if you go to, I'm pointing so much, if you go to the Tierra del Fuego, there is a channel between a couple of the islands, and the island that's Chilean is underneath, and the island that is Argentinian is above. And the channel is called the Beagle Channel, after the HMS Beagle, Darwin's ship. So there you go. And so he later developed the theory of evolution. There you go. So that was good. In 1863, sheep were brought over to Chile for the first time from the Falkland Islands, strangely enough, Islas Malvinas, if you're Argentinian. Hi. And so I guess maybe that's where they helped. They were like, hey, do you remember 150 years ago, they gave us those sheeps? Let's give them let's get the British something back. Let's help them out with this war with Argentina over the Falkland Islands. Weird, strange days. All right, in 1879, the nitrate boom really began, and what it was the same sort of stuff that happened in the little island of Nauru, which I've talked about before. Basically, a load of bird shit was found in the Atacama Desert, and they went, "Oh my God, nitrates! Woo! Nitrates! You can make fertilizer and explosive, two things that people need because they want fertilizer to grow stuff, and they want explosives to blow shit up." So, yeah. So there was a huge rush, and there was argy-bargy with the Argentinians and with the Bolivians and with the Peruvians about a claim over this territory, and I think that it led to Peru beating the crap out of both. Sorry, it led to Chile beating the crap out of both Peru and Bolivia and taking huge chunks of their land in return for them not winning the war in 1884. One sheep, two sheep, three. O'Jiggins doesn't sound better. Oh, that's a great name. Hi, my name is Jose O'Jiggins. No, you're right. It does sound crap. Anyway, the War of the Pacific. Sorry, the Argentina wasn't involved in the War of the Pacific. It was just those three countries. It was Chile and Bolivia and Peru. In 1881, which is a year that is a palindrome, which is always good. Is there another word for numbers that are palindromes, or are they just palindromes as well? 1881, while expanding northward, China signed a treaty with Argentina, conceding all of eastern Patagonia, but regaining sovereignty over the Strait of Magellan, which they saw as more important back then because that was the only way to get from the only way to get from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. It's the only way. You couldn't, the Northwest Passage, it's just impassable most of the time. It's a ridiculous way to go, and so you basically had to go through this Magellan Straits, where the waters of the Pacific and the waters of the Atlantic meet. And Santiago. Yeah, it's also the name of the guy in the Mysterious Cities of Gold. He was Santiago, wasn't he? And he took them through the Magellan Straits. And they were like, "Oh, we're going to die," and they didn't. That was good because there was another 574 episodes to go after that. Anyway, so where was I? In 1885, the British, from 1885 to the end of the century, British, North American and German capital turned Atacama into like this boon town. This nitrates that were being sold brought prosperity to certain sections of Chilean society and created an urban middle class. And they also funded the government. And then the government gets a bit of money, and they all go crazy. There's a book called Black Elk Speaks. I think that was what it's called. And I read it years ago. And it was about this guy who was one of the last of the Sioux Indians. I think it was the Sioux Indians. I might be getting this completely wrong, and someone's going to go on Google and correct me. But there was one line that really stuck with me about gold. And he said, he described it as the yellow metal that makes the white man go crazy. And I thought that was, useless. I think he said, useless yellow metal that makes the white man go crazy. Yeah, you don't want to get rich. You don't want to get rich if you're a country, because then people get greedy and start killing each other because they want a bigger boat. How dare you fall asleep, gods, after that pineapple. Grah! Says Duke Vengeance in the chat there. Anyway, so in the 1888, which is a year with 3 of the same numbers in, which doesn't happen very often. It's only happened 3 times in my life. Once in 1999, once in 2000, and then once this year. 2022 has 3 numbers the same in the date. But anyway, so yes, back in 1888, Chile annexed Easter Island, or Rapa Nui, and yes, and they confined the Rapa Nui people to Hangaroa, the main town that we saw on the map just before, while the rest of the island is used as a sheep ranch. And this this forced arrangement, was in place until 1963. If you can believe that. It was 1963. It was the 60s anyway. Basically, they ran it as a sheep ranch until the 50s, and then about 10 years later, they finally gave people from Rapa Nui or Easter Island, they finally gave them Chilean citizenship, I think in the 1960s. Which I think they did before Australia gave citizenship to the Aboriginals in Australia. Wow. Anyway, so in 1890, tackling inequality, unequally distributed wealth, and trying to juggle reforms and stuff. President Jose Manuel Balacida ignited a congressional rebellion in 1890, and it resulted in a civil war and led to over 10,000 deaths and Balmacida's suicide. Not great. In 1927, General Carlos Ibañez del Campo, not from Last of Summer Wine, that was Campo. This is Campo. Established a de facto dictatorship in 1927, which would prove to be one of the longest lasting of 10 governments in the unstable decades between the 20s and 30s. In 1938, communists and socialists and radicals formed the Popular Front coalition, and throughout the war years, in the early 40s, they became increasingly popular with unionized working classes, and they started playing like a bigger role in the Chilean labor movement. In 1945, poet, teacher, and foreign consul Gabriel Mistral became the first Latin American woman to win the Nobel Prize for Literature, and in fact, only the second woman in history to win the Nobel Prize for Literature, which is really impressive. Ibañez, from 1927, returned to power in 1952, if you can believe that. This time as an elected president. He was elected, promising to sweep out corruption. And he revokes the ban on the Communist Party that had been put in, but sweeps himself out with plans for an auto coup. I don't know what that means. In 1948, the Communist Party, 1948 to 58, the Communist Party was banned due to spreading local fears that its electoral base is getting too strong. Amid the growing conservative climate of the Cold War, obviously. And then in 1960, Chile gets hit by the biggest earthquake. I think it was the second biggest earthquake. It was the biggest earthquake. The strongest earthquake ever recorded. 8.8 on the Richter scale, I think it was. It just flattened coastal towns, and it created a tsunami that hit as far away as Hawaii and Japan. Insanely powerful. It might be 9.8. Can someone look up the 1960 earthquake? Let me know in the chat. I think it was 9.8 on the Richter scale, and it's a logarithmic scale. So like every bit that you go up is like doubling everything that came before. Oh Jesus, it's insane. Anyway, 1964, the Rapa Nui were granted their full citizenship rights as Chilean citizens. Finally, 1964. I don't think Australian Aboriginals were citizens, was seen as citizens until the late 60s or maybe even the early 70s. In 1970, Salvador Allende became the world's first democratically elected Marxist president. Okay. Should we do a little sweepstake? Oh, here we go. Reagan elite says magnitude 9.4 to 9.6. Jesus Christ. That's insane. Nicholas is saying 9.5. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Reagan elite. Thanks, Nicholas. And thanks, Duke, for looking that up for me. I should have found that out. Anyway, so Allende brought in massive social reforms, state control of many previously private enterprises, alongside massive income redistribution, which was sorely needed. It was sorely needed. Like, look, the setup of Chile hadn't changed much in centuries. Obviously, the cities had grown, but in the rural areas, you had the boss who owned the area, and then you had the tenants who were Spaniards. I don't think the indigenous in population were allowed to be tenants, and the indigenous people were just sort of put to work, and they could never get out of this situation because I don't think up to that point they were really allowed to own property in these places. And so, yeah, with the agrarian reforms were, long overdue by the time they came along. However, on September the 11th, that infernal date, 1973, General Augusto Pinochet, headed up a military coup that overthrew the UP government, the UP government of Salvador Allende, resulting in Allende's death. Apparently, it was a suicide. Okay. And the deaths led to the deaths of thousands of Allende's supporters. So from 73 to 89, General Pinochet was the leader of the country, head of the junta that dissolved Congress, banned leftist parties, suspended all others, and prohibited nearly all forms of political activity. And he ruled by decree. During this period, he just killed people willy-nilly. People disappeared. In 1978, Chile and Argentina almost went to war over 3 small islands in the Beagle Channel, which I mentioned earlier. The Beagle Channel conflict, as it was called, was finally settled by papal mediation. The Pope turned up in 1979. We're not supposed to say Richter scale anymore, but moment magnitude scale both go up by factor 31 every logarithmic step. Why can't we say the Richter scale? That's what we say. Moment magnitude scale sounds rubbish. I don't like that new name. Just saying. Duke says, yes, wealth distribution, interesting. Squire, write that one down. Yes. When you take over the world, mate, it's got to be done. Anyway, so in 1980, Pinochet submitted a new customized constitution to the electorate, which ratifies his presidency until 1989, and it passes, though many voters abstain in protest. In 1989, the Consensus for Democracy, or the Concertación para Democracia, I think I'm saying that right, was formed of 17 parties, and its candidate, Christian Patricio Aylwin, oust Pinochet in the first free election since 1970. So good 19 years of no free elections, and the terror under Pinochet, under Pinochet's rule. I love that his name is Aylwin. Like, someone's like, what makes you think you'll win this election? And he just turned around and went, Aylwin. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong now. Anyway, so in 1994, the new president, the Christian Democrat, Eduardo Frei, he reduced the military's influence in government. In 1998, Pinochet was arrested in the UK on murder charges relating to his time in power. The nearly unprecedented action is one of the first arrests of a dictator based on universal jurisdiction. Several years of legal battles ensued, and most notably, one of his big supporters was Margaret Thatcher, because Chile had supported Britain in the conflict in the Falklands. And she was like, oh, he's all right, really. He's all right. And it was like, shut up, Thatcher. You've got dementia. Just walk around in a circle and bark on the fucking moon or something. Just please stay out of this. But she was very agitated about it. She was very vexed. But now she's dead. So there you go. She's been dead for 9 years now. It's great, isn't it? Anyway, moving swiftly on. Why can't we use pints? Deciliter sounds wrong. Yeah, well, dinosaur, get with the boffins, scientists. Well, no, I don't mind old measurements, because you can put the word pint in a song. You can put the word mile in a song in a way that you cannot put milliliter into a song. You cannot put kilometer into a song. Well, maybe you could try and rhyme milliliter with kilometer. It'll be so clunky. Don't. Just miles. When you do it a song. But it's an arcane. It's an arcane method of distance. Why not just make a mile equal a kilometer? Why not just make a pint equal half a liter? In fact, I think a metric pint is half a liter. So there you go. Who would take tea with Pinochet? Well, Thatcher, obviously. I don't know. Anyway, where was I? I was talking to you about the new president, Mr. Free. Mr. Free. It went from Mr. Alwyn to Mr. Free. And beating a former, in 2000, moderate leftist, Ricardo Lagos, who beat a former aide to Pinochet. He became president, joining a growing breed of left-leaning governments elected across South America, because finally the Americans allowed them to elect people without assassinating them or assisting in the coup d'etat, which took them out. Thatcher's been dead for 9 years. Do we have a celebratory work meeting on the 10th year? I think we should. Beaver were introduced to Tierra del Fuego. Ooh, I like beaver. I like beavers. Beavers, they're cute. And they have an extended phenotype, and they spread out, and they have their own little thing going on. Anyway, look, I've gone over time now, so I'm going to have to hurry up. Anyway, so in 2003, Chile becomes the first South American country to sign a free trade deal, NAFTA-type agreement, with the United States of America. And everyone else goes, ooh. In 2004, breaking with an ultra-Christian, moving with the ultra-conservative Christian tradition, Chile finally makes divorce legal. That actually happened in 2004. 2004, you couldn't divorce your crazy serial killer of a husband or your shrieking hammerton of a wife if you were Chilean. You weren't allowed to until 2004, when they finally changed the rules so you can. The courts were flooded with like case and backlog of like 50 years of people who had just been living in abject misery with a partner that they shouldn't have fallen in love with in the first place. I wouldn't have 10 commandments. I'd just have one, because I think all the others are innate. There's a good line in Ricky Gervais's Afterlife, I think it was in season 1, where he says to Philomena Kunk, asks him, if you're an atheist, what's stopping you raping and murdering all you like? And he goes, well, I do rape and murder all I like. I don't want to, so I don't. So I don't think you need 10 commandments. But you do need a commandment which says, don't fall in love with the wrong person. Number 1 commandment, don't fall in love with the wrong fucking person. The thing is, you can't make that a law, can you? But if you think about the human misery, let's just think about it as like let's do a quantity of human misery. I think it goes like this. It goes like drugs, war, famine. And then you get to the last one, it's falling in love with the wrong person. That's what I'm saying. Millimeter and saltpeter, says number 3. Oh, yeah, that's a good rhyme. Let's do that. Phonia and pneumonia works, just. I met a bloke, this is true, I met a bloke who had a leg shot off trying to escape Pinochet. Oh, wow. Like, bloody hell. Jesus. Yeah, not great times. Not great times at all. I don't want to dwell too much on the what these monsters did when they were in power, because it feels like, when people obsess over like serial killers and stuff and how many victims they killed and how they killed them and they read books about them and stuff, and it's just horrible. And it's worth knowing that these people were monsters, but the details of what they did, it just turns my stomach over. It's really, I'd rather just try and stick to the funny stuff, the interesting stuff, the nice stuff. Well, humans have to have this cycle of just putting an idiot in charge of the country, a vicious idiot, a vicious psychopathic idiot in charge of a country. Where does that happen? Anyway, 2005, Senate approved more than 50 constitutional reforms, including getting rid of these non-elected senators that Pinochet had put in. He basically put a load of senators in that he's just put in himself to make sure that he won every vote in the Senate. He also got rid of military commanders as well, a lot of military commanders. So it was part of the whole sort of de-armyizing the Chilean regime, because up to that point, I mean, the Chilean army was one of the best funded. It probably still is, but at the time, it was by far the best funded army in the whole of Latin America. They spent a lot of money on their army, which is not ever a good idea, because then people running the army go, oh, you know the way like people watching the telly, they go, oh, I should run the country and I'll do a better job. Well, they get that idea, except they're not just some bloke watching the telly, right? There's some bloke in charge of 500,000 troops with guns, and they go, oh, look at those squishy little politicians. I reckon I could take them on because they don't have guns, so we could make it look like a suicide. Yeah. Anyway, 2006, Michelle Bachelet is elected the first female president of Chile, and she faces some key crises. There's a massive student protest seeking educational reform, and Santiago's traffic paralysis during transportation reform of 2006. Also in 2006, at the age of 91, General Augusto Pinochet carks it. He dies. He's brown bread. He's pushing up the daisies. If he wasn't nailed to he's joined the choir invisible. He falls off the perch. Good. And he's denied a state funeral because, let's face it, Pinochet was a twat. And that's the end of that. There's a good thing about people who are twats. They die eventually. Might take a bit too long for comfort, but eventually they will die. Anyway, in 2010, eventful year 2010 in Chile. First of all, in January, the Chileans elected Sebastián Piñera as the first rightist president in 20 years. In February, end of February, 27th of February, Chile was struck by an 8.8 magnitude earthquake, the fifth largest ever recorded at the time. More than 500 people died, mostly from the ensuing tsunami, and over 1 million people lost their homes. In the 5th of August that year, an access tunnel collapsed at the San Jose copper and gold mine in the Atacama Desert in northern Chile, trapping 33 miners 700 meters below the ground. There's a movie about this. I think it's got Benicio del Toro in, but they're all speaking English with Spanish accents, which that drives me mad. If you're going to do a film about a thing that happened in someone else's country, the least you can do is like do it in their language and then subtitles, because you know what the literacy rate is in Western countries. It's 99.9%. And whatever language it is in, right, it makes no difference to the Chinese market if you're going to have it in China, because they've got subtitles as well, because they're illiterate as well. So just please, just future reference, do what they did in Wages of Fear. Just have people speak in their own language. Wages of Fear, great movie. They have people speaking English, people speaking Spanish, people speaking French, depending on whether they're English, Spanish, or French. Genius idea. Just have subtitles. Anyway, moving on. So this tunnel collapsed, and there were these 33 miners trapped down there. It was 17 days before the rescuers even made contact with them, and they were down there in the end for 2 months. Obviously, they were given supplies and stuff. But it was 2 months later. It was on the 13th of October, 2010, over a period of almost 24 hours. And it was on TV all over the world. You may well remember it. It was like, wow. And they managed to get everyone out, which is a really good news story, which is like, yay. The Germans dub everything, says GPAN62. You're right, GPAN62. It's really fucking annoying. Stop dubbing everything, Germany. In one of my movies, which is called HMS Apollo, it tells the story of the British moon landings of 1969. Yeah, it's going to be billed as just as historically accurate as Braveheart. And one of the characters in it is a robot who's a German, who basically she speaks German. She's a German robot, but they changed the voice box on her so she speaks English, but her mouth is still moving in the German words that she's saying, and it's really disconcerting. Yeah, and that's my ploy to say, look, you can't dub this, because if you dub that, then okay, the joke won't make any sense. Although they'll probably look at it and go, oh, look, the lip sync is perfect. So just dub it into German. Anyway, don't ask me why there's a robot in a film about British moon landings of 1969. It's a fantastic idea for a film. If anyone wants to talk to me about it afterwards, then feel free. If you know any Hollywood producers who will be up for making that kind of thing. Anyway, so that brings us up to date, really. 2019, there were protests at the end of the year, countrywide protests in response to the subway fare going up. No, the subway fare going up, seriously, in Santiago, but also the increased cost of living, privatization, and the inequality prevalent around the country. On the 15th of November that year, most of the political parties represented in the National Congress, the Parliament there, signed an agreement to call a national referendum in April 2020, but that was delayed because of COVID. And eventually it went through at like 78%. And if there was a new constitution brought in, and yeah, like I said, the before 19th of December. So yeah, just a month ago yesterday, a leftist candidate, the 35-year-old former student protest leader, Gabriel Boric, sorry, Gabriel, won Chile's presidential election to become the country's youngest ever leader. He's young and he's a leftist, and I'm hoping great things will come of this, I hope. Fingers crossed. Hopefully he won't turn into a monster, as people have a tendency to do. Now, my original plan was to show you some footage of me in, I was a little wee boy, no, I was the same height, I was just had more hair, from 20 years ago, me rummaging around in Chile, but unfortunately, I don't have the footage on my hard drive. So as a result, I'm going to have to just leave it at that, which is not that exciting, really, I guess. Now, a big apologies to anyone who wants to head over to the Discord server. I'm having some problems with it, and I can't go into the problems right now, but basically I've had to make a new server, and it's going to be for patrons and long-standing people who followed me only. So you're only going to get access to all of it when you're a patron or a YouTube member. So I'm setting that up, and it should be ready to go on Sunday, when I'll be back for Film Club at 8 o'clock on Sunday on my film channel, Graham Hughes Films, and we'll be talking about the films of Billy Wilder, and we'll be watching the movie Witness for the Prosecution afterwards on the new Discord server. So please look out for that. I will be putting a notice up on YouTube. You're right. I keep forgetting that you can actually post stuff on YouTube now. I keep forgetting it. I just put a picture up. It's like, I don't know. But yeah, I will do that. I will do that. But I'm going to leave it at that. So thank you very much for watching. I would say thank you for the super chats, but you can't give me them on this channel. What a stupid idea to get a new channel. What was I thinking? But if you would like to become my patron, or you would like to buy me a coffee or a beer, head over to the links that are in the description below, and you can do that, and that would be great. But otherwise, I might, as suggested to me today by someone on Twitter, I think, I might do a impromptu politics show if something happens with Boris Johnson before the end of the week. I don't think the Sue Gray report's going to come out till next week now, but it might come out tomorrow. I don't know. If it does, and he makes a speech and it looks like he might resign, I might do a little voiceover bit thing like I do for Prime Minister's Questions on Wednesdays, where I swear very loudly at Boris Johnson, because I fucking hate him. Okay, so reenactment of Graham in Chile. Dan, this wine is good. Absolutely. Yeah, but I was just drinking the cheap stuff. I can't tell the difference between good wine and bad wine. It's all wine to me. I know that sounds like I'm a terrible, terrible heathen. I'm a Philistine. I know. I get so much shit off people for this because they people who take wine seriously, and I'm just like, glug, 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 glug. And they're like, Graham, slow down. I'm like, why? Oh, that's a Sauvignon Paminet from 1932, and I'm like, oh, is it? Okay, listen, mate. Honestly, give it to me in a carton. I don't care. You know, in Australia we call it goon. The wine you got in a carton, goon. Great name. Anyway, looking forward to the new server setup. Says regularly. Well, I think it'd be just the same as the old one, except it'll just be a little bit more exclusive, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more. But yeah, it's all go here, and hopefully loads more content is going to be put on this channel, meaning that we'll have more subscribers and can eventually get to the point where I can be doing this kind of stuff with, you know, some money coming in while I'm talking. So I can say, oh, thanks for that super chat. That was boss that there. Most wine connoisseurs fail the double blind test and can't tell cheap apart from expensive, says Pineapple Boy. Oh, well, at least I'm honest about it then. Hashtag pretentious. I think I can be pretentious. I don't know. I'm not very pretentious. I think I can be, but I'm just rubbish at it. Anyway, but it's all the same to me. It's all the same. Although, just two things, right? First of all, right, what's it called? Papaya. Papaya is disgusting. It tastes like arse. Why do people like it? Papaya. Also, you put it into like fruit salads that you have when you're in like Panama and places. Take out it. So the other thing is peanut butter. Like, I don't mind it. It's fine. It's just called peanut butter. I have a problem with that because it sounds a bit like penis butter. And that just puts me off. I just go, because of that. Isn't that weird? I don't know. But yeah, they're the two things that I generally don't go for. But, you know, anything else, happy as Larry. Just give me it. Well, maybe here once. Right. So thank you for watching. I'm going to leave you a list of my wonderful patrons, which probably include everyone who's watching this at the moment. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And until next time, I'll say fair winds and following seas, traveller. Ta-da.